Coming up tonight, heads in beds. Good news for the country's tourism sector as hotels across the country are reporting high occupancy levels. Plus, residents on Long Island will soon have cause for celebration as the tourism minister confirms a new airport is on the way. And later, taste the flavors of the islands with our entertainment correspondent, Danielle Miller. We have a recap of this year's Jerk Jam at the Nassau Paradise Island Wine and Food Festival. These stories and more as Our News Weekend starts now. This is Our News Weekend. Happy Palm Sunday, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Megan Shepard. A female visitor is dead and a male seriously injured tonight. The victims of a boating accident off the coast of Exuma. Police providing few details on the victim or the injured male who was with her. Eyewitness accounts say they were a married couple out to sea in a smaller dinghy when they collided with a larger boat, an Intrepid about 35 to 45 feet long. Eyewitnesses claim the collision happened in the cut near Staniel Key. While the wife was pronounced dead soon after, the husband is being treated for serious injuries. Now, this is a developing story that we are continuing to follow. Meantime, a 42-year-old male is dead and another is seriously injured following a shooting incident in the Kennedy subdivision area shortly after 11 a.m. Police tell us two males were in front of a residence on Gilder Street when they were approached by a lone gunman who fired multiple gunshots in their direction before escaping in a nearby white Japanese vehicle. Both victims, aged 41 and 42, were shot multiple times and were transported to the hospital by EMS personnel. However, the 42-year-old succumbed to his injuries a short while later, while the 41-year-old remains in critical condition. Police are actively investigating this incident and are appealing to members of the public who may have any additional information to come forward. Well, hotels across the country are reporting high occupancy levels, according to Acting Prime Minister and Tourism Minister Chester Cooper. Cooper also revealed visitor arrivals are ahead when compared to the same period in 2023.
It means jobs for Bahamians. It means opportunities in terms of entrepreneurial ventures. And we are ensuring that we're not just counting numbers, but what we are doing is actually working deliberately to empower Bahamians.
The Bahamas recorded nearly 10 million visitors in 2023. Cooper says the mission is to create linkages with tourism.
This is gratifying because we now have a tourism development corporation, a tourism development levy that will go towards the further enhancement of our product. So as we improved our overall product, the quality of life will improve for the Bahamian people.
Meantime, the economy of Grand Bahama is still trying to rebound. This as there are several projects in the pipeline for that northern island. The latest development, the Carnival Cruise Port Celebration Key, which is expected to generate lots of economic activity, hundreds of jobs for Grand Bahamians, and a number of spin-off opportunities for business owners. Well, despite the economic situation, hotels like Pelican Bay Resort is holding its own. General Manager Magnus Alnebeck says each year the resort has seen more business.
We see the preparatory work at the shipyard. We get a lot of business from that. We do get business from the carnival people and both their own corporate, but also people who are coming here to work and install. So the type of hotel that Pelican Bay is, we benefit from any economic activity. Of course, it would be nice to see more tourists in Grand Bahama, and it's not that we don't cater for tourists, we do cater for tourists. But to get tourists coming here, we need a little bit more oomph and we need to airlift.
The Pelican Bay Resort recently completed a major renovation project due to damage the hotel sustained during Hurricanes Dorian and Matthew.
75% of Pelican Bay has now been renovated the last 5 years. And for being in Grand Bahama, that's a very fresh and good hotel product. And it's just to hope that our business levels in the future can also allow us to renovate the last 25% of the property. But we are constantly doing little things, and we are trying to improve the place and make it more fun and exciting.
The Davis administration has committed to building new or renovating existing airports throughout the country. Good news for residents of Long Island, as they can expect to see a new airport by the end of the year. Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper revealing as much on the sidelines of the groundbreaking of a new BAMSI research facility while in Long Island earlier this week.
I am delighted to have announced to the people of Long Island today that Long Island Airport has been prioritized. We are almost completed adjusting the designs. We're looking to see how we might use the Great Harbor Key design to use here in Long Island to expedite the process, to cause it to happen faster, which will also involve the lightening of the runway here to be able to attract jet traffic directly from the USA and elsewhere.
Cooper says the development aims to revolutionize air travel to and from the island, heralding a new era of connectivity and economic opportunity.
This is going to be important to continue the growth that we have seen in Long Island as we get new hotels, new boutique resorts. This all needs to be supported by airlift, and this new airport will cause there to be continued growth and development in terms of the touristic sector and the commercial sectors of Long Island.
Well, today is Palm Sunday, also known as Passion Sunday. It commemorates the Christian belief in the triumphal entry of Jesus into Jerusalem, when he was greeted by cheering crowds waving palm branches that they sat out on the ground along his path. Today, thousands of Bahamians across the country recreate this moment as they march through the streets or their respective churches. Palm Sunday also marks the start of Holy Week, the most sacred week of the Christian year. Throughout the coming week, Christians will observe the Good Friday reenactment of Jesus' crucifixion story and death and his resurrection on Easter. Today's commemorations also serves as a reminder for Christians to welcome Jesus into their hearts and be ready to follow him. Well, still to come on Our News Weekend, Doctors Hospital making healthcare more accessible and affordable. This as a new center opens in Melton Plaza. Plus, should wages increase like the cost of living? Many now asking this question as the impending national insurance rate hike looms closer. Stick with us.
Are you or a loved one under medical care? Do you need affordable medical supplies? Ports International is the largest home healthcare supplier. Medical supplies at the very best price, and you can even shop online. From hospital beds to wound care, wheelchairs to walkers, Ports is a one-stop shop for your medical supplies, and we accept insurance. We have online shopping and 2 locations to serve you, at the Airport Industrial Park and Shirley Street. We also ship to the Family Islands. Shop online and visit us on Facebook. Call Ports at 377-1771.
Accessibility and affordability is the order of the day as Doctors Hospital opened their new access center in the Melton Plaza, Mackey Street. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony on Friday, Dr. Charles Digges says the facility is outfitted with a pharmacy and lab.
We realize that Doctors Hospital, being a private healthcare facility, is on the face of it expensive, no question. But we know that our challenge is to make that expense affordable. So we have done a number of initiatives over the last 2 or 3 years. The first initiative is our Loyalty and Membership Program, LAMP. What this does is it provides discounting on most of our retail outpatient services. So in the space of affordability, our multiple centers, once they're accessed, Loyalty Advantage members can attract 10-15% discount on those services.
This location is one of many throughout New Providence, something Dr. Digges says is all a part of the goal of making healthcare more attainable for Bahamians.
Doctors Hospital Health System is committed to bringing services appropriate to the needs of communities into those communities and bringing services as closely as we can to meet those needs in the communities. We realize that our main facility on Collins and Shirley is difficult to access and is more committed to acute and inpatient care. And so we embarked a few years ago on an intentional mission to move our services out to make them more accessible.
The impending national insurance rate hike has many asking, should wages increase like the cost of living? Earlier this month, Minister of National Insurance and Immigration Alfred Sears told the House of Assembly the rate will increase by 1.5% starting July 1st and will rise by 1.5% every 2 years until July 2044. Hours after the announcement, the Office of the Prime Minister issued a statement that contradicted Sears' comments, saying that a decision on subsequent rate increases beyond this year has yet to be made. But no matter how the numbers add up, economist and former director and CEO of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Edison Sumner, says more focus should be placed on establishing a livable wage.
This again is another discussion that we've been kicking down the road. I think we ought to get to the point now as a country when we have these discussions so that they no longer become just bookends, but they become actual actionable items that we prepare to follow through on. I think livable wage, the difference is that it will essentially keep pace with any movements in inflationary rate in the country. So as inflations rise, then the wages will rise concurrently. And that is good because that way then certain adjustments are made automatically.
In the interim, The Economist also says focus should be placed on worker productivity and to keep an eye on that. He's suggesting the establishment of a productivity council.
Any increases in emoluments and salaries and benefits, etc., should also be tied to national productivity. And I'm a strong proponent of that if we can implement a national productivity council, if we can implement a national productivity standards, then I believe that will assist us in not only raising the level of the national productivity in the country, but also being able to justify any request by the government or the private sector employers for increase in either wages or increase in contributions from the employer and employees in the country.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, clear skies on this Sunday evening. Meteorologist Ian McKenzie joins us from the Weather Center with your check on temperatures. Plus,
Coach U and the Rebels survive and advance and see who took the court in the association. Sports is up next.
When the Bahamas took center stage at World Expo in Dubai 2022, we were there as thousands got up close and personal with our story, like the unprecedented devastation of Hurricane Dorian put center stage at Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda. We were there as the Prime Minister urged immediate action on climate change, an issue brought up months later at the historic 50th CARICOM meeting in the Bahamas. Because our news is everywhere, always there when it counts.
welcome back. Bahamians take the court in March Madness and in the NBA. Tage Adderley is here with Sunday Sports. Tage.
Good evening, I'm Tage Adderley here with Sunday Sports. The men and women's NCAA tournaments are happening right now, and Bahamians are caught up in the madness. We have an update.
Coach Yolette McPhee-McEwen and her University of Mississippi Rebels survived and advanced out of the first round of the NCAA women's tournament, taking down Marquette 67-55. Madison Scott had 20.6 rebounds and 4 assists to lead the squad, and Kennedy Todd Williams added 15-7. Their next game is against Notre Dame in a round of 32 on Monday. On the men's side of things, Frederick King and the Creighton Blue Jays played, taking down Oregon 86-73. King had a DMP in that game, unfortunately, but the man who usually backs up at the center position, Ron Kalkbrenner, had 21 points and 14 rebounds in the double overtime thriller.
We're going to stick to the hardwood, but now we're on the pro side of things. The Bahamian took to the court last night in the NBA.
Eric Gordon and his Phoenix Suns got a 131-106 win over the San Antonio Spurs in the Lone Star State. The 6'3 sharpshooter came off the bench to score 12 points, all of which came from behind the arc where he went 4 out of 5. Devin Booker led the Suns with 32.7 rebounds and 9 assists, and Kevin Durant had 25. Victor Wembanyama had 13 for the Spurs.
And that is a wrap for sports today. I'm Tage Adderley. Have a great week.
Thanks, Tage. On the other side of this break, a 17-year-old entrepreneur turned philanthropist needs your help to be a blessing to other teens. We'll tell you how when our News Weekend returns.
When the Bahamas took center stage at World Expo in Dubai 2022, we were there as thousands got up close and personal with our story, like the unprecedented devastation of Hurricane Dorian put center stage at Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda. We were there as the Prime Minister urged immediate action on climate change, an issue brought up months later at the historic 50th CARICOM meeting in the Bahamas. Because our news is everywhere, always there when it counts.
Welcome back. Tonight, we end our series on the Nassau Paradise Island Wine and Food Festival. And as our Danielle Miller tells us, it ended with a bang as hundreds of locals and tourists tasted the flavors of the islands before ending the night with an unforgettable show by a former Fugees member. Let's take a look.
It's our final night here at the Nassau Paradise Island Wine and Food Festival, and we're turning up the fun here at Jerk Jam.
It's the event I was personally waiting for. Jerk Jam highlights the spices from around the Caribbean, from jerk pork to jerk ribs to jerk octopus, and of course, you can't forget jerk chicken. We also tasted the flavors of Atlantis' new restaurant set to open soon, Field Trip. Culinary celebrity JJ Johnson is head chef and owner of the restaurant.
Coming from Harlem, New York, it embraces culture from all around the world. And I think the Bahamas gets everybody flying in that wants to embrace different types of food. And you're going to get that at Field Trip.
Now, the highlight of this particular event was the performance by Wyclef Jean. The Grammy Award-winning artist kept us entertained for an electrifying 2 hours. There was not one motionless body in the crowd as we were captivated by the music that influences a global culture.
Well, the Bahamas is amazing. You know, I'm a Caribbean man by way of Africa. So I never could get into the trickery of you're Bahamian, I'm Haitian, he's Jamaican. I try to bring a tribal energy to remind us that we all are one, you know what I mean? So again, being in the Bahamas is like being at home, that's all it is.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Looks like a great time, Danielle. Well, it's time now for your check on weather with meteorologist Ian McKinsey.
Thanks, Megan, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to this Palm Sunday. We're currently outside our studios. We're under mostly clear skies. Stark difference from yesterday. Winds are from the north at 16 miles per hour. Comfortable feels like temperature of 71. Current temperatures across the country at this time in our nation's second city, Freeport, we have 74, 73 in Marsh Harbor, 76 in Allenstown, 77 in Great Albuquerque, Nicholstown, and in Governor's Harbor, 76 in Nassau. In the Central Bahamas, we have 76 in Camps Bay, 77 in Georgetown, a pair of 75s in Arthurstown and Coburn Towns in Salvador, 78 in Deadman's Key. In the Central Bahamas, continue with 78s in Duncantown, Colonel Hill, and Delectable Bay, Acklands, a pair of 77s in Abrahams Bay and Providenciales, and 78 also in Matthewtown in Agua. Satellite and radar imagery at this time, we have a few showers. This is all associated with a weak frontal boundary, not much of a concern, and it should pretty much phase out. Elsewhere, high pressure is building across the lower northwest and central Bahamas as this once potent cold front continues to push south and away from us. However, a low pressure system associated with it will impact boating conditions throughout midweek. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas, small craft advisory is in place due to those swells. Winds will be north to northeast 15 to 20 plus at times, gusting seas 4 to 7, but up to 10 feet offshore, mainly along Atlantic exposures, the eastern shorelines of the islands. High tide at 8:33 p.m. tonight, low tide at 2:47 a.m. tomorrow morning. In the central and southeast Bahamas, small craft advisory is in effect due to those swells again. Winds be northeast east 10 to 15, gusting at times higher, seas 2 to 4, but up to 8 feet offshore on those swells. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, outlook for tomorrow, pretty much through most of Holy Week, we're looking at gorgeous conditions fair chance of a spotty shower here or there Thursday afternoon. That is all courtesy of a cold front that should push through the area, cool things down a bit into the Easter weekend. Outside of that, we're looking at comfortable temperatures during the day and nighttime. That's a wrap in the evening forecast. Have a great and safe Holy Week, everyone.
Thanks so much, Ian. Well, with all of the social ills plaguing the world, it's always good to hear of acts of humanity. Today, we bring you the story of a 17-year-old entrepreneur turned philanthropist, Karis Knowles. She says God called her to bring hope and encouragement to those facing trying times. Our Jean Joseph tells you more about the Amai Foundation.
Karis Knowles isn't your average 17-year-old. While many young people enjoy their weekends with friends or are glued to their television or social media, she and a group of close friends and family prepared to visit the Nazareth Center, where she hopes to bring smiles and a message of hope to the young residents.
This is actually our launch of the foundation. I feel like it was an idea that was from God. I just wanted to assist young kids like me who don't really have that opportunity or that extra hand to give them so that they can become like better versions of themselves.
Karis, who presently studies at a boarding school in Rome, Georgia, plans to study finance and marketing when she graduates. She got her start in business early, operating her own balloon company at the age of 10. Through it all, her mother, Stacy Dean, has been at Karis' side, encouraging her to shoot for the stars and helping her along the way. She urges other parents to be the wind beneath their children's wings.
I would like for all of the business owners and corporate Bahamas to just keep your ears and eyes out for the Amai Foundation because, you know, she would need donations because it's a nonprofit foundation. So most of the things that she would do to generate revenue, she would still need additional assistance from corporate Bahamas to make all of her endeavors to become successful and fruitful. So I would just ask you all to keep your eyes and ears open for the Amai Foundation.
Though Stacy's support has gotten Karis this far, she knows the foundation has a greater purpose. One of Karis' goals is to provide scholarships to deserving young people. Stacy hopes partners will come on board to help the foundation flourish.
She actually was an entrepreneur before she became a philanthropist. She started a balloon company at the age of 10, and that was kind of unheard of at such a young age. But I was like, let's go for it. I mean, I can be the front in terms of being an adult, but for the most part, the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And I think that that's what most parents that's the mindset that most of them should have.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jean Joseph.
Awesome initiative. We wish you the best, Karis. Thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepherd. Have a safe and wonderful evening.